الله أكبر
الله أكبر الله أكبر
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله
أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله
أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله إن الحمد لله نحمده سبحانه ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد يحيي ويميت وهو على كل شيء قدير اللهم اقسم لنا من خشيتك ما تحول به بيننا وبين معصيتك ومن طاعتك ما تبلغنا به جنتك ومن اليقين ما تهون به علينا مصائب الدنيا ومتعنا اللهم بأسماعنا وأبصارنا وقواتنا ما أحييتنا واجعله الوارث منا واجعل ثأرنا على من ظلمنا وانصرنا اللهم على من عادانا ولا تجعل مصيبتنا في ديننا اللهم ولا تجعل الدنيا أكبر همنا ولا مبلغ علمنا اللهم ولا تسلط علينا بذنوبنا من لا يخافك ولا يرحمنا يا رب العالمين أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم إن زلزلة الساعة شيء عظيم يوم ترونها تذهل كل مرضعة عما أرضعت وتضع كل ذات حمل حملها وترى الناس سكارى وما هم بسكارى ولكن عذاب الله شديد وأصلي وأسلم على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين سيدنا محمد بن عبد الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه وعنا معهم إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. In the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most compassionate, the most merciful, all praise and thanks are due to him and peace and blessings be upon his beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He who is guided by the will of Allah, no one can misguide him, and he who is misguided, no one can guide him except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Muhammad is his messenger. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. More lessons from the World Cup. This is the title of my khutbah. I'm not a fan of sports generally, and I don't care with football personally. However, World Cup should be sports, but they forced us to make it a cultural war. They forced us to make it a political war. They. For the normal people, for the simple, humble people, World Cup is just a sport. If you are interested, watch. Not interested, forget it. That's it. We have ups and downs, bad and good aspects of World Cup, yes. But unfortunately, or fortunately, they decided to make it a cultural, political war. Now, we as Muslims, how can we benefit from the cultural political war that some people decided to declare? We as Muslims, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us in the Quran, لَقَدْ كَانَ فِي قَصَصِهِمْ عِبْرَةً. In their stories, or just to say the exactly, لَقَدْ كَانَ فِي قَصَصِهِمْ عِبْرَةٌ لِأُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ. In their stories, there is deep, true lesson for the people of the intellect, for the people who reflect using their minds. So let's see part of what I call the universal laws, Sunnah al-Kawniyya of Allah, when Allah wills to expose something and to teach the people and to apply what we know in our Islamic terminology, Iqamatul Hujjah. Iqamatul Hujjah literally means to establish an argument. It means to expose reality. It means to make people understand what is what and who is who. It means the ambiguous possible concepts, they are not ambiguous anymore. It means if you and I were brainwashed with some kind of big political lies, we are not supposed to be brainwashed anymore. Then when you take your decision, when you meet Allah, when you do something, when you act upon, when you react upon, already you know. Because Allah willed to expose such things. Now let's take one of the biggest political cultural lessons. German team, they insisted not to respect others. They insisted, everyone witnessed that. You have the right as Germans, as British, to believe in what you want to believe. And you claim that you respect human rights. You claim that there is something called legal and illegal. You created the concept of the law of the land. Okay, you are in a other land now. Did you respect? No. Did you hold the minimum of respect for other cultures? No. Other religions? No. Other beliefs? No. The results, they are kicked out now. Now, everyone on earth, they are making laugh of them. You insisted, for us as Muslims, I personally, I'm not forcing him to accept it, I understand it under the big title of when Allah wills, Allah will use the lessons in the way He wants. This could be understood as a divine punishment, not from sport point of view. No. From big universal law point of view. When you insist to disrespect, you will not be respected. This is a universal law by default. So they are out. One of them, he was rude enough to say, when we win, or if we win, we will not celebrate in Qatar. Okay, what's this? Racism? Arrogance? Superiority? You just name it. Okay, go and celebrate. Yalla habibi, go. Yalla. Go celebrate your failure. Not from sport point of view. No. Political, cultural, religious, whatever point of view, go and celebrate. When you do not respect, you will not, do not keep preaching the people how they should be respecting others and speak about coexistence and respecting others. When you do not respect on political level or in a cultural level, the cultures and the religions and the beliefs of others. You need to know, we need to have this lesson. Now, the other lesson, I mentioned part of it last time, and I want to highlight it again. Zakir Naik, Masoud Ozell. I don't care with the names by the names. I need to use them as a phenomena. This person by his country, with a lot of lies, because he's very influential, one of the best peaceful preachers on earth. Not using a violent word in his life. Yet, his country, because they are afraid on their fellows, because he's very influential, hundreds of thousands, they are converting to Islam. Okay, now when they don't have an excuse, they must make lies. So they made lies against him, they are chasing him, they are attacking him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, look at from a universal laws, the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Britain, they prevented him from getting into the UK. India as well. Now Allah gathered the world to see how millions of people are respecting him, one of the most and best celebrities on earth. This is a message for anyone who thinks that you control the people. The people cannot be controlled, and when Allah wills, everything will be exposed. Mesut Ozil, from cultural, political, sociological, logical, whatever point of view, you just name it. Now, look now to the double standard. The main title of my khutbah should be more lessons and how double standard is exposed worldwide. Some years ago, World Cup has been done in China and in Russia as well. We know how many big problems in Russia and in China against the human rights. We all know. Uyghurs as an example. Workers in China. Is there anyone on earth who does not know that millions of workers, they are living in a very miserable status while they are working in factories in China? Many of them, they are actually under American companies. Everyone knows that. No one dares to speak, to utter a word of human rights. But now, British media, French media, German media, their own concerns that human rights in Qatar. Subhanallah. But what about human rights in China? What about that the United Nations, they are talking that the highest level and the worst genocide in the history are happening in China now against Muslim Uyghurs. No one speaks. When Mesut Ozil said just please look to the Uyghurs, hey, don't mix politics with sport. Okay, when Ukraine happened, everyone mixed politics with sport. La hawla wa la quwwata billah. Ya ammi, please don't be hypocrites. No problem. Put a standard and let it be applicable on you and me. No problem. No politics. Don't support Ukrainian sport. Why when Mesut Ozil spoke about Uyghurs, everyone was against him and he was attacked, and he said his face statement, when I win, I'm a German. When I lose, I'm an immigrant. Turkish immigrant. What is this? This is racism. This is hypocrisy. This is double standard. This is a direct evidence against human rights. But when some people have the inferiority complex, they don't love to discuss this. Look at this. Don't be brainwashed. So subhanallah, Mesut Ozil, by the German media, he was attacked, and by the British media, he was attacked, then he gave up. Now, one of the most famous faces that everyone is praising on earth, Mesut Ozil. Ya Allah. Ya Allah. I'm looking at it from divine, let's say, way point of view now. When Allah wills, you need patience. Allah knows. We don't know the ghaib. Allah knows that. Allah knows why this person, not for the sake of sport. When Mesut Ozil decided to do this, he was expecting, maybe not expecting that level, but maybe he did not expect that he will lose 22 millions, and was kicked out, and he was attacked by Germans. Can you imagine yourself? You are a very famous football player, from the top people, out of a sudden, German people, British people against you. You lose your status, you lose your career, you lose the contract of $22 million. It's not easy. It's not easy. It could cause this kind of depression and something. Now, superficially we know he did it for the sake of Allah, inshallah. Now, Allah is telling us what is his status now. Now, 4 years later, 3 years later, everyone on earth is making dua for him. Did he lose in our way of understanding? No. Wallahu a'lam, no. Now, the lesson is not a sport lesson. The lesson basically is when you are someone of principle, you are not a loser. What if your principle is to support what Allah loves? When you sit with oppressed people, when you support the weak people, when you support the people who are tortured. Look to what happens with the Israeli media. No one is accepting to talk with them. This is the reality. They are not accepting people. Okay. Now everyone on earth, they are discovering that our political leaders simply, they don't represent us. Simply. What they say in their political, gatherings, they don't represent any one of us. Very simple message. But for billion people, they were aware of it now. If you want to make it, you can't make it. If you want to let the people be aware of it, you can't. If you want to make advertisements to let the people be aware, to convince them, you can't. Allah made it easy to be exposed in a very easy way. Another lesson under the universal law. Western media in general, and in specific American and French, you know how biased and lying they do against Muslims in the French media and in some fanatic American medias, especially against Muslims and more specific against Arabs. We all know about this kind of Arab who no one did not know for the last 24 hours at least who was he, with the Brazilian coach, the one who held the story basically. It was, went viral. An Arab, they said an Arab who was holding the Palestinian flag on his, he saw two women, an old woman with a child, another woman younger with a child. Both children, they were asleep. So they were holding them on their shoulders and they were walking for a long distance between the stadium and the metro of the train. So a man came with the Palestinian flag on his, he said he offered to help them and he accepted to hold the child, which is at least 30 kilograms, at least from his size, or 40 to 45 kilograms, for maybe 2 or 3 or 500 meters, without saying any word, just offered the help. Now he did not know that the mother is the mother of the coach of the Brazilian team, and the woman, she was the wife of the coach of the Brazilian team. And they are the sons of the coach of the Brazilian team. So the grandmother, she took a photo for this and she told him. So the Brazilian coach, he was not able not to talk about this generous, ethical, moral attitude from an Arab man in this country, because to him, he thought, if this happened in another place, is it possible if my wife and my mother with 2 children, with a lot of drunk fans, basically in some other cultures, the only thing they will receive just sexual harassment. In some other cultures, they are very happy or very sad. They will break everything outside, or they will fight, or they will sweating using the F words, or they will do sexual harassment. This is in other cultures. For him, he was not imagining that someone will do with this. So he kept talking about the media, and he insisted in the media, please let me know who is this person. They managed to know him just 24 hours. He was a Jordanian. Now the point, the idea of the media in the West, what is the image of an Arab, especially Arab Muslim in the media? Very bad. Very tough, backwards, tough, rapists, racists, the very tough, bad, dark images. They put it always, you see them in the media. They are just terrorists, killers, rapists or something. So when the media brings this and 4 billion people are witnessing, it breaks the stereotype that sometimes they are doing. Okay. I'm not saying, subhanallah, alhamdulillah, we are just waiting for this just to believe that we are good, nice people. I'm giving you an idea just to trust in the power of Allah. It's just a taste. I understand it as when Allah wills. Who on earth imagined that Zakir Naik and Mesut Ozil will be honored? Now the people, they are talking about Zakir Naik and Mesut Ozil more than the cup itself. What does this mean? Why for 10, 15 years, 2 people are gathering the attention of the world more than the sport itself? What does it mean? It means just one thing. When Allah wills, everything can be changed. Just trust. Okay, some people, they say, but have they done it for the sake of that we know? No. They did it for the sake of Allah. Zakir Naik definitely is not waiting for me or for you to approve that he's, no. But it's a message for you and me. That Allah decides when to give you the evidence that your job is accepted. Just do it for the sake of Allah. Trust in what you have. Be aware that when you know that this is a haqq, hold fast with the haqq regardless of others. When Allah wills, whether in this dunya or in the akhirah, this is another story, when the haqq will be exposed for others. Allah wills whenever He wills to make part of these things a lesson for the others. Now billions of people are receiving these messages. What do these messages mean? These messages, as I told you at the very beginning, it is iqamatul hujjah, establishing the argument, making the people aware of the double standard, of the hypocrisy of the media of the world. Who can imagine that good, nice British presenters, they were attacking the BBC? Look to the BBC as an example. BBC, did they stop, for example, when the World Cup happened in Russia many years ago? Just recently at that time, they have done the massacre against the Chechens, and they killed hundreds of thousands of people, and there were massacres and raping and bombing Chechnya inside there. No one talked anything about that. Nothing. But BBC, have you stopped broadcasting the opening ceremony in Sochi at that time because the Russians killed the Chechens? No. You know, this is a domestic affair. We should not be interfering in the business of the sovereignty of other countries. Oh la la, wow. Very nice, so cool, nice. Type China, they are killing the Uyghurs. No. Yeah. No politics in sport, subhanallah. Type yalla, now in Qatar. All politics in sport now. All culture in sport. All religious things in sport. What is this? Double standard. In our terminology, nifaq, hypocrisy. Go to Surah Al-Baqarah. One of the main pillars Allah started the Quran with, which is the constitution of humanity. By the way, Quran is the constitution for humanity, not for Arabs, not even for Muslims, for humanity. It was designed for humanity. If you accept it, you will be saved. If you refuse, what is the main pillar when you start just finishing the 5 verses after Alif Lam Mim? ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين الذين يؤمنون بالغيب ويقيمون الصلاة ويؤتون. Just 5. Then now full page, tens of verses about munafiqeen, about hypocrites. Because one of the most dangerous group of people on earth against humanity are the hypocrites. Double standard. Because by the way, when the person who does not agree with you is honest in what he believes, even if he disagree with you, but you know what is he, you know how to deal with him, with her, at least you respect him, even if you disagree. But the hypocrite, you don't know when he will say what. You don't know what mask he will be wearing. You don't know in which status he will be, with you or against you, at what time, depending on what. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, إِنَّ الْمُنَافِقِينَ كَانُوا فِي الدَّرْكِ الْأَسْفَلِ مِنَ النَّارِ. Hypocrites will be in the lowest layer of the hellfire. So now Allah is exposing some of what we call now in our words the double standard. From one angle, we should be aware not to be from this. Allah is teaching us how bad double standard, i.e. hypocrisy, is. So as a Muslim, it's prohibited for you. So be careful in your life. Be careful in your families. Be careful with your personal relations. Be careful on stand. Yes, culturally, unfortunately now, media level, political level, we are weak as Muslims. But yet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sending some of His mercies by His way just to expose the double standard and hypocrisies, and to keep this kind of divine messages that the truth is the truth. If you want to be the people of the truth, it's your decision. So this is clear. Be from those. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم فيا فوز المستغفرين. استغفر الله. استغفر الله. إن الحمد لله نحمده سبحانه ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد يحيي ويميت وهو على كل شيء قدير. In the previous khutbah last week, I highlighted the golden opportunity, how many people now, about 4 billion people, they started witnessing that there is something called the adhan. What is the adhan? It's the call for a prayer. Which prayer? Why they pray? Why they make it loud? What does it contain? What's the meaning of this? You know, this is like indirect way, wallahu alam. I'm not saying that we should be using sport for this, but it happened. Not because we decided, not because we planned for so. It happened as a reaction, but this is, I understand it personally, under the very powerful meaning of the divine law, which is وَيَمْكُرُونَ وَيَمْكُرُ اللَّهُ وَاللَّهُ خَيْرُ الْمَاكِرِينَ. Now, al-makr means التخطيط في الخفاء in Arabic. When you do makr means when you plan secretly. They plan secretly, and Allah plans secretly as well. Wallahu khayrul makirin. Allah is the best of the planners secretly, because He is the one who has an ultimate capability to apply what He wants in the way He wants. Even though the plan, we have Al-Qawi subhanahu, Almighty subhanahu, who decides when things to happen. But it's a test for us to trust in whom and to believe in whom and to reject what and to accept what. أسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يغفر لنا ويرحمنا وأن يعيذنا من التقصير في ديننا ومن احترام ديننا ومن الدعوة إلى ديننا ومن الافتخار في ديننا، اللهم آمين. اللهم ارحمنا فوق الأرض وتحت الأرض ويوم العرض عليك يا كريم. اللهم إنا عبيدك أبناء عبيدك أبناء إمائك نواصينا بيدك ماض فينا حكمك عدل فينا قضاؤك. نسألك بكل اسم هو لك سميت به نفسك أو أنزلته في كتابك أو علمته أحدا من خلقك أو استأثرت به في علم الغيب عندك أن تجعل القرآن العظيم ربيع قلوبنا وجلاء أحزاننا وذهاب همومنا وغمومنا يا رب العالمين. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. وأقم الصلاة.